Hey everyone, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the music. What a treat we've got for you tonight, and it's so lovely to see everyone as well. So a big welcome to everyone dialing in tonight and introducing yourselves in the chat. We've got people from Romania, Belgium, Isle of Wight, Kent, LA, everywhere. And I find it, it's really amazing that our little community here is reaching around the world in this way. And on behalf of everyone in our community, we're deeply grateful for opportunities like this to have come out of what's going on. And personally, I also appreciate it as well. I appreciate you all joining us here and saying hello. Let's have someone from San Francisco. Oh, it's lovely. And I'm excited because not only tonight is it our 6th birthday, but we have got an awesome lineup for you tonight. And all of you in that little camera of mine get to enjoy it, and we get to gather and we get to cultivate some joy, much needed joy right now, and celebrate community in this way. So I'm just going to go into housekeeping mode briefly, so you can stay in touch with us here. I'm just dumping some stuff into the chat. We have an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, and a YouTube, where all the recordings from these sessions are uploaded. And we also have a mailing list, which you can sign up to via our website. Ella's just saying, has everyone else got a frozen screen? So has anyone else got a frozen screen? Okay, it might be my signal. You might have to let me know in the chat if that happens, because I'm kind of on my own tonight with admin. If I can get some okays. Okay, it's all good. Okay, sweet. Let's continue. So yeah, if you want to stay in touch, just use those links that I've put in the chat there. And if we can use the chat there for communicating amongst yourselves, that'd be great. If you want to ask a question at any point tonight, there will be an opportunity to ask questions to both Siddhartha and Lama Rod later on. If you want to ask a question, you can do so by using the Ask a Question tab, which is kind of just below here. If you accidentally ask a question in the chat, don't worry about it. I'll just move it over. I'll take care of that. Okay. So, the last thing to say here is a little bit about the Dharna talk. So these sessions are happily offered freely. Sorry, I'm just laughing at what you're saying in the chat. It's not too scary, Lynette, but thank you for your concern. So these sessions are freely offered and happily freely offered. We do invite you to practice Dharna. There's a button just beneath this video, and I'll also post our PayPal and our bank account details there in the chats. Yeah, if you have any issues around any signals, or it goes a bit funny, you can always refresh your browser, and that usually helps. So I've just put in the PayPal link in the chat there. For those of you that might not be familiar with Dharna, it's the Buddhist practice of generosity. And by using this practice, which is a kind of bedrock to our community, Southsea Sangha, we've been able to offer these sessions freely, and have done so for the last 6 years. When we were in a physical Sangha, in a physical space, offering retreats and multiple sessions every week on Dharna basis, so that it can be accessed by everyone, regardless of financial means, and also gives people the opportunity to practice Dharna. And if you're unsure on what an appropriate amount to give or offer, then we kind of have a guide, kind of feel at the end of the evening, feel into how you feel you've been benefited or been supported by these sessions tonight. Feel what you would like to offer, and then balance this with with your means. All the dana collected this evening will be split between Southsea Sangha and the Intensive Care Society, who provide, I'm just going to read this out, who provide specialist psychological support for all ICU staff, who, as well as acting as medical carers and attending to our medical needs, also during the pandemic, have been taking up that bedside role of friends and family for all those who've been isolated in intensive care during moments of uncertainty, pain and discomfort, and of course at those end-of-life moments. So whether you're able to offer dana to a large extent or to a smaller extent, it's all deeply appreciated. And if you feel financially stretched and feel less able to support tonight, then that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to just enjoy the benefits of being here tonight and feeling the support of the community. If you are able to offer something tonight to whatever degree, and just a reminder, this sometimes gets lost, I think, when we talk about dana, but just a reminder that there's a real goodness in the act of practicing dana, that feeling of I want support and I want to offer, which I think gets overlooked or missed when we kind of cognitize it a bit. And here in the UK especially, there's a pinch of self that happens when we talk about money, like the butt cheeks clench and we kind of get all tight. So I want to thank you for your dana now in advance, and encourage you in that moment of using that green button to offer whatever expression of support, of gratitude and appreciation you can, to really kind of connect in with the spirit and the beauty of the fact that you're making a dana offering, right? It's a beautiful thing to express love and support and appreciation, and the wish for others to have the same opportunity as you, and for tonight to know that you're helping those directly who help us and those that we care about at times and moments of greatest need. Unfortunately, I lost my cousin during the pandemic, and he passed away in ICU. So I feel really grateful to those staff, and I'm really pleased that we're able to help the staff who were there for our loved ones and for us maybe in those moments. So just connecting in with the spirit and the practice of dana. If you don't connect in with that kind of goodness, with that kind of spirit behind it, it just becomes a donation, right? And donations are really helpful and useful in themselves, but that opportunity to cultivate a sense of dana, of generosity, can get lost. And this dana model really disrupts the transactional model that we've become more familiar with. So kind of invest your donation in the spirit of dana, in mutual support, in mutual aid, in this kind of symbiotic relationship, right? So thank you for that, for hearing me out on that. And we've got loads of people joining in. So people who might have just missed, you can ask a question using the Ask a Question tab, just here at any point for Lama Rod Owens or Siddhartha later on. Let's enjoy ourselves. This is really strange, hosting a party where it's just you on the screen. I know you're all there. You're all on the camera, so I'm connecting with you, and I'm deeply grateful to see you all. Right, so let's get started, shall we? So this evening we are starting the evening with some live music from Captain Lovelace, who was born in France, now resides in Bristol. They released a debut EP called Preview Pain on Damnably Records in 2015, and has toured with Kath Bloom, supported Algis Harding and Girlpool. And we connected on Instagram a while ago, and we've become kind of Instagram buddies. And they have sent me some of their music that is available online, and some that isn't, and they have a beautiful voice. So really pleased that they're here, kind of offering some kind of joy and cultivating some joy, so we can celebrate our community as 6 years, and cultivate some joy and raise some money for the Intensive Care Society as well. So we're going to try this, see if this works. I'm going to invite them on screen. Hopefully they will be there ready, guitar in hand. I'm going to vanish, and I'll come back in between each act and attempt to host this evening in this way. Okay, so let's begin. There is Claude. Okay. Hey, Claude.
Hi. Does it work? Yeah.
It is working. It is working. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna disappear. I'll come back on when you call me back on. You may have an encore. Who knows? And thanks again. So take it away. This is Captain Lovelace. Everyone, enjoy.
Yeah. So just quickly, I'm really honored to be with you online tonight. I discovered this community during lockdown. So and I'm really honored to celebrate this 6th birthday and play a few songs from my bedroom. So let's give this a try. And maybe let me know if anything with the sound is getting a bit weird. I will do my best to improve things. But let's go. Du désir au désespoir, comme je suis lasse de répéter encore la même histoire, encore en pleine ébullition, un cœur jamais à court d'imagination. Un corps de femme pour étendre des larmes qui couleront tout autant. Dans tes bras, tant de bravoure, comme je suis fière de voir pas à pas un tel parcours, encore en pleine transformation, un cœur jamais en reste de commotion. Encore de femme pour tempérament de l'homme qui coulent tout autant. Don't be afraid in the dark. I've always got you in my mind. A voice that came out from the dark. Thanks everyone. I'm gonna play another one. which is actually like a recent one, and it's called Death Card. Are we coming back home? Death and mismatched boxes, photos we need to be seen, shedding their skin. I wrote down each of my name. They walk through so many gates. Some of them will never grow back again. I kept asking you how you feel about this, the trust we've built, the seed we planted, and the back of your summer house, right through the back of your eyes. The flame they tend, there's nothing left to pretend in our bellies, right? Like your hand at the back of my neck, one more winter through my ribcage. Only bodies of water could ignite this fire. That's how we're coming back home. Back home. Thanks again. It's just like really hot and a bit tight in my bedroom, but I think we're doing well. So I'm gonna play the third and last one, and that's the one I sent to Daniel when we started to like be Instagram buddies. So it's called Child Passenger, and it's about grief, but I think grief is a good friend of joy sometimes, and it's good that I think they coexist. So thanks again for being here tonight, and I'm really looking forward to the talk, and Lama Sadada, and just meditate all together. So thanks again. There's so much more here, so much more for you to hold. Spill this cup shamelessly we did, filled up with past ideas, dancing rebounds and faces. There's so much more for you to hold, a place itself where flesh bone can relate, and I. We could draw all the pennies we found, empty shells, broken vase, that we out of your hands. No need to tell you why. My heart feels safer in the depth of mine. Call this so much more for us below. There's so much more for you to hold. A place itself where flesh bone can relate, sitting in the night. The river, myself, and I. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, and Daniel, you can just. So it was my first gig on Zoom or Crowdcast or whatever. So yeah, interesting experience.
Thanks, Claude. That was beautiful. Oh, I loved it. We're going to invite Claude on at the very end before we all finish to kind of express our gratitude again. So thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was lovely. Let me. Okay, feeling the love. It's really lovely. I'm gonna post in here. So I'm gonna let you guys express your gratitude for the chat moves. Okay, so that is how you can track down some tunes on SoundCloud. And if you want to follow Claude on Instagram, you can search for this in the Instagram. Okay, sweet. Okay, this is exciting. I feel like a little teenager. Partly because I don't have to do any teaching as well. It's kind of frees me up to enjoy the evening a bit. Okay. So how's everyone feeling? Everyone warmed up now? Everyone enjoy that? So next, I am very pleased and very honoured to have a new friend of mine come on in a moment, called Siddhartha Jackson, who is coming on to recite some poetry and also kind of I think there's some time to do some talking as well around what they want to offer and what they want to share. And then Lama Rod is going to join Siddhartha for the kind of final third of this evening, which is the kind of talk and the meditation practice and everything. Okay, so let's invite her on screen. Which one? There we go. Okay, hang on, you're muted. Hold on a sec. There we go.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Happy birthday, Southsea. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to vanish. I'm not going to come back on. I will just invite Rod on when you are ready. In fact, no, I will come on. I like seeing the three of us on screen. It was a nice thing during the green room. I want to do that again. So yeah, let me know when you're ready, and I'll come back. I'll bring Rod with me. Okay. Enjoy, everyone. I hope you're comfortable.
So, Wanigan, Wani no Kishkwatwang, and Kitabatamish. Good day. It's really beautiful to be here with you all, and I thank you. I thank you for this opportunity. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the indigenous lands that all of us are on. I want to acknowledge not just the lands, but the people, the ancestors, and their descendants. That these are lands that, if we are from those bloodlines, that we steward, and if we are not, then we are responsible for the descendants to honor their stewardship. I want to offer a deep gratitude to my ancestors who are Black African enslaved ancestors. And whether they're here in the lands that I'm calling you from, I'm in Nonantum, in Massachusetts land, or wherever African enslaved people have been, their life, their love, and their labor have made possible all the institutions that we benefit from. And I want to thank you all, Southsea and Daniel, for welcoming me to offer my voice, and through my voice, my wish for you, for your birthday, that your love be mature. Dieu merci, Claude, for your gifts of music and presence and musical medicine. And so I'm going to summarize first what I'm going to read, and I'm just going to read it. So first, read so that we have a shared understanding of what mature means, from Lama Owens' book, Love and Rage, just a small bit. We're going to use his definition of what it means to do emotional labor and be mature. Then I'm going to read a poem entitled You Are Who I Love by Aracelis Guillermay. And then finally, I'll finish with a passage from Toni Morrison's Paradise. I chose these for you all, for community, to say what we love, which is all of our parts, all of us, all of what's in us, and how we love. That means how we practice love, or love's labor. Lama speaks of emotional maturity not as being always stable, but being able to manage fluctuation. And, quote, if someone who is emotionally mature, then your emotional stability actually becomes a support for others who are experiencing emotional instability. You become the earth of others, and that holding can translate into acts of love and kindness. You Are Who I Love by Aracelis Guillermay. You, selling roses out of a silver grocery cart. You, in the park, feeding the pigeons. You, cheering for the bees. You, with cats in your voice in the morning, feeding cats. You, protecting the river. You are who I love. Delivering babies, nursing the sick. You with henna on your feet and a gold star in your nose. You taking your medicine, reading the magazines. You looking into the faces of the young people as they pass, smiling and saying, all right, which they know it means, I see you, family. I love you. Keep on. You dancing in the kitchen, on the sidewalk, in the subway waiting for the train because Stevie Wonder, Hector Lavoe, La Lupe. You stirring a pot of beans, You washing your father's feet. You are who I love. Reciting Darwish, then June. Feeding your heart. Teaching your parents how to do the Dougie. Counting to 10. Reading your patient's charts. You are who I love. Changing policies. Standing in line for water. Stocking the food pantries. Making a meal. You are who I love. Writing letters. Calling senators. You who, with seconds in your body, with your time here, arriving on buses, on trains, in cars, by foot to stand in the January streets against the cold, brutal offices saying, your cruelty does not speak for me. You are who I love. You're struggling to see. You're struggling to love or find a question. You better than me. You kinder and so blistering with anger. You are who I love. Standing in the wind, salvaging the umbrellas, graduating from school, wearing holes in your shoes. You are who I love. Weeping or touching the faces of the weeping. You, Violeta Parra, grateful for the alphabet, for sound singing towards us in the dream. You carrying your brother home, you noticing the butterflies, you sharing your water, sharing your potatoes and greens. You who did and did not survive. You who cleaned the kitchen. You who built the railroad tracks and roads. You who replanted the trees, listening to the work of squirrels and birds. You are who I love. You whose blood was taken. You whose hands and lives were taken. With or without you saying, yes, I mean to give. You are who I love. You who the borders crossed. You whose fires, you descent with rage, so in love with the earth. You writing poems alongside children. You cactus, water, sparrow, crow. You, my elder, you are who I love. Summoning the courage, making the cobbler, getting the blood drawn, sharing the difficult news. You always planting marigolds, learning to walk wherever you are, learning to read wherever you are. You baking bread, you come to me in dreams. You kissing the faces of your dead wherever you are. Speaking to your children in your mother's languages, tootsing the birds. You are who I love. Behind the library desk, leaving who might kill you, crying with the love songs, polishing your shoes, lighting candles, getting through the first day despite the whispers snipping, fail, fail, fail. You are who I love. You who beat and do not beat the odds. You who know that any good thing you have is a result of someone else's sacrifice, work. You who fights for reparations. You are who I love. You who stands in the courthouse with the signs that reads, no justice, no peace. You are who I love. Singing Leonard Cohen in the snow. You with glitter on your face, wearing a kilt and violet lipsticks. You are who I love. sighing in your sleep, you playing drums in the procession, you feeding chickens, humming as you hem the skirt, you sharpening the pencil, you writing the poem about the loneliness of the astronaut, you wanting to listen, you trying to be still. You are who I love, mothering the dogs, standing with horses, you brightness and in darkness, throwing your head back as you laugh, kissing your hand, you carrying the Barbara from the mill and the jug of oil pressed from the olives of the trees you belong to, you studying stars. You are who I love, braiding your child's hair. You are who I love, crossing the desert and trying to cross the desert. You are who I love, working the shifts to buy books, rice, tomatoes, bathing your children as you listen to the lecture, heating the kitchen with the oven, up early, up late. You are who I love, learning English, learning Spanish, drawing flowers on your hand with a ballpoint pen, taking the bus home. You are who I love, speaking plainly about your pain, sucking your teeth at the airport terminal television every time a politician says something that offends your decency of thought, which is often. You are who I love, throwing your hands up in agony or disbelief, shaking your head, arguing back out loud or inside yourself, holding close to your incredulity, which, yes, too, I love. Your working heart, how each gesture, tiny or big, stand by my own agony, building a forest there. How fuck you becomes a love song. You are who I love, carrying the signs, packing the lunches, with the rain on your face. You at the edges and the shore, in the room of quiet, in the room of shouting, in the airport terminal, at the bus depot saying no. And each of us, from the gorgeous unlikelihood of our lives at all, finding ourselves here, witnessing to each other's tenderness, which this moment is fury, is rage, which this moment is another way of saying you are who I love. You are who I love. You and you and you are who. Let me tell you about love. That silly word you believe is about whether you like somebody or whether somebody likes you or whether you can put up with somebody in order to get something or someplace you want or you believe it has to do with how your body responds to another body, like robins or bison, or maybe you believe love is how forces or nature or luck is benign to you in particular, not maiming or killing you, but if so doing, it is for your own good. Love is none of that. There is nothing in nature like it. Not in robins or bison or in the banging tails of your hunting dogs, and not in the blossoms of suckling fowl. Love is divine only and difficult always. If you think it is easy, you are a fool. If you think it is natural, you are blind. It is a learned application without reason or motive except that it is God. You do not deserve love, regardless of the suffering you have endured. You do not deserve love because somebody did you wrong. You do not deserve love because you want it. You can only earn, by practice and careful contemplation, the right to express it. And you have to learn how to accept it. Which is to say, you have to earn God. You have to practice God. You have to think God carefully. And if you are a good and diligent student, you may secure the right to show love. Love is not a gift. It is a diploma. A diploma conferring certain privileges. The privilege of expressing love and the privilege of receiving it. How do you know you graduated? You don't. What you do know is that you are human and therefore educable and therefore capable of learning how to learn and therefore interesting to God, who is interested only in himself, which is to say, he is interested only in love. Do you understand me? God is not interested in you. He is interested in love and the bliss it brings to those who understand it and share that interest. Couples that enter the sacrament of marriage and are not prepared to go the distance and are not willing to get right with the real love of God cannot thrive. They may cleave together like robins or gulls or anything else that mates for life. But if they eschew this mighty course, at the moment when all are judged for their disposition in their eternal lives, their cleaving won't mean a thing. God bless the pure and the holy. Amen. Aho, and thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thanks, Tadada. I don't really want to rush in, and I kind of want to allow that to land before we kind of start making noises. But yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to follow Tadada, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I'm not a chat pro. Rod will tell you, and Daniel can tell you. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor of our Sangha to have you offer that and to celebrate with us. So thank you so much. I'm going to bring on Lama Rod now. Hopefully he is sat there as he promised he'd be. Let's see if he's there. There he is. Hang on a minute. Okay. Okay, everyone. So now I'm going to hand you over to both Lama Rod and Siddhartha for the remaining hour and 10 minutes or so. And please remember that if you have any questions, whether it's to just how do you follow these people online and kind of connect with them, or if you have some questions around the poems that or the excerpt that Siddhartha shared tonight, or you want to ask a question to either of them tonight, there is an Ask a Question tab at the bottom, so feel free to kind of ask some questions there. And if you're feeling very, very celebratory and brave, then you can even come on screen and ask your question in person. They don't bite well. Siddhartha doesn't. I don't know if Rod does. But I'm going to disappear now and come back on near the end. Okay. Right.
All right, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lama Rod. I am also sheltering on and teaching on the Massachusetts and Wampanoag land here in Massachusetts. And I am so grateful to be here in this space with you all. I unfortunately can't, be at Southsea personally, because of something happening in the world right now. But Southsea Sangha is like a home for me, and I have over the past 2 years or so really enjoyed, spending time with you all, and and so I really miss being with you all this year, but hopefully I'll get to come next year, if there is an America left next year. that's right.
To be determined.
To be determined. We're gonna just put this, tag that for a second and come back and see what happens. I want to thank my sister Siddhartha for just her love, her realness, like just being 100% bitch all the time. And I need that. Like the world needs that. The world needs people who just let you know what's up. And it's not personal. No, it's not personal. Just this incredible love that I experience and like in our relationship, that has so deeply sustained me, for the several years of our friendship at this point, And you just, your reading sent me in all kinds of places. You were channeling the gods. You were just like all over the place. That's right.
Get your fan, honey.
When "fuck you" becomes a love song.
Love song, honey.
you just titled all 40 years of my life in the black queer body in this country. Like you just that line just told me what I was doing for 40 years.
That's right.
And that has brought me so much joy. That one line. But it came when you offer that, it came from a real place. It came from a place that has lived that.
That's right. That's right.
Where, I know this space is full of Buddhists, and so So I apologize because, you know, you're going to walk away going, is Lama Rod a Buddhist?
What happened? Christian? Is he doing some ancestor spirit thing?
Yes.
Like, what is he doing?
Like, what kind of Buddhist is this? You know, but, you know, it's when fuck you becomes the kindest thing that you can say in the moment. You know, and you say it not wanting to hurt people, but you say it because you realize what's at stake for you. You know, because you realize the level of violence that has occurred, right? And you can't do that anymore. You can't go there with people any longer. You can't go there with systems any longer. You can't go there with institutions any longer, right? You know, you can't go there, you know, with people who are always perpetually trying to erase you because secretly deep inside, they are struggling to live and to be themselves. You know, and then they enact their violence on us, and that violence for them comes from this place of just deep suffering, and we can see that, we can honor that, right? And we can make offerings to that, you know, because we want people to be free from suffering, we want people to be free from that, but they don't get to enact violence on us without our consent.
And without it being so expensive for our bodies and our hearts, you know, without the price of the ticket being too high.
Yeah.
You know, as James Baldwin says.
Yeah.
You know, I wanna thank you, Rod, for your work. You know, I love you deeply. I remember when I first laid eyes on you 7 years ago.
Has it been that long?
It has, I think so. You know, I'm not really good with numbers. It's more than 5, less than 10.
Yeah, I think it's
more than 5, less than 10. And you know, it was in Cambridge, and you know, I'm thanking you too, because you know, without you and your connection, and you know, with this second home, you know, Southsea Sangha, I would not be here. But there's so many other places I would not be. I would not have reconsidered Harvard. I would not have considered just, you know, being, you know, not just that bitch, but a boundary bitch.
That's right.
You know, like a bitch with a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, what you taught me is that in protecting your energy, is I have to preserve that self that everybody's trying to take, but I get to drink from it first. And that's not an act of selfishness. You know, like St. Audre Lorde says, that's an act of self-preservation.
That's right.
You know, when you come from marginalized bodies and histories, you know, we can't afford to not preserve what and who we are. Because the cost is too much. Me being a boundary bitch is not, it's like, I'm not even your bitch. It's like, you know, James Baldwin says, I'm not your Negro, right?
Yep.
But what I am is committed to not living out of the reflexivity of the violence that surrounds me, that asks me to labor in ways that are too expensive.
Yeah.
And that are at a cost that I've already expended. You know? My ticket's been paid for.
Yeah.
In terms of that emotional labor. And there are now people who need to step up and do their own. And what that looks like, they too have to discern. You know, and, you know, like we've talked about this. I don't want you to do your emotional work. I want you to want to do your emotional work. Because that comes from a place that's self-possessed, you know?
There's so much joy here.
Yes.
You know, and I just want to like bring that into the space. I want to talk, of course, our topic today is about joy. I just want to call in joy, you know, even as we sit in America, entering into another uprising.
Yes.
You know, another movement for the health and sustainability of Black life. You know, and I just really believe that the work that we're doing here in America is actually setting all the folks in the diaspora free around the world.
Absolutely.
You know?
And in many ways, setting free what the imprint of colonization has done, not just to Black diasporic bodies, but also to Indigenous bodies and lands too. You know, that this is a time, you know, that those types of violence cannot cleave to the lands and the people in which these lands are a part of, you know. So I think that's really important, you know, and even how we understand that, like, this is not just about an external decolonization or an external freedom of like Black bodies across the diaspora, but in many ways it's also about liberating the ways in which colonization has imprinted itself on the way you understand what is happening across borders, that you even think that those borders are the actual borders that exist. You know, that we talk about Canada and South America and Central America as their separate islands. This is Turtle Island, you know, as we understand it, as Indigenous people of these lands. You know, we have to go back. You know, we have to capture those worldviews that are going to free us. And even those who are confused about the type of violence they're acting out in marginalized spaces. Because, you know, like you said, I even want that motherfucker to be. And it's not, that's not my price to pay. They have, that's on them.
Yeah. And then how, for me, like, I have to dance into liberation, and I have to dance into disrupting systems of violence through joy.
That's right. You know, I was just talking this morning to one of our kin friends, Sean.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the ways in which things like insecurity, things like pain, as you talk about in the book, show up, you know, in the rage, right? And that the work, you know, if I understand, you know, what this, you know, I'll call it the pamphlet of the pandemic. Coming out in 2 weeks. You know, but this work is really about uncovering what is already deep down inside of there. But that's the labor, that's the work that each of us have to want to do. And in there is that joy. You know, in there is, and you can come from that joy. You know, and still face the violence that's in front of you in a way that might look like, oh, I'm just being angry. But the texture of that, you know, like, you know, when Daniel was giving the difference between dana and donation, right? It's where it's coming from inside of you that makes a difference. And nobody can do that for you. You know, it's like, you know that song, Blind Boys of Alabama sing a version of it. You got to go to the Lonesome Valley.
That's right.
You got to go all by yourself. Nobody else can go there for you.
You know, I just, I always think about how threatening relationships between Black people can be for the world. You know, especially when we're talking about our joy. You know, and I just wonder, like, the world takes so much from us, but they refuse to take the joy. And for me, that's what my ancestors are trying to give to the world, is the joy.
That's right.
You know, like, my ancestors are like, I'm not trying to sing for the world. I'm not trying to dress for the world. I'm not trying to tell the world jokes.
That's right.
You know? But this joy, you know, this way in which I'm connecting to the very nature of my mind, which is what Dharma and practice gave me. The way it gave me the tool to begin to touch into what my mind really is, because my mind isn't the trauma, it's not the woundedness, it's not the colonization, it's not the imperialism, it's not the class. Those are just like clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
But the sky itself is unmarked, is unstained. And that's where I'm coming from. The sky and the joy that permeates the sky, that holds everything. So I can be in the struggle to save my life, but that struggle is held by joy, and that joy becomes a tool of resiliency.
When you talk about joy in that way, for me, I feel that, we're here, but I feel that, and it makes me think about, like, there has to be a world view of joy.
Yeah.
I think that what has happened, and especially now, in the midst of the uprising, is that it becomes like, it's almost like a film. Trauma becomes a film. Like a cloud, but because we're not operating or in touch with that worldview that, joy is what I am, not this film as I see and act and be in the world or take action into the world, that it's really from a deep, deep place that I have this joy, and it allows me, like you're saying, to be in relationship with the trauma, but not to be identified with the trauma. And that's not a thematic difference, that's not, we're not trying to be relative here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I think it's about a position and a certain type of falling, a kind of falling into the mother she talked about. Like, and it really is that gesture, when you we're on retreat one night in Talamala, and you had just like fell out the camera. You were like this. It's like that, without me giving y'all my business. But it's really letting go, but it's also trusting.
Yeah, trusting.
It's also trusting that I am not this trauma.
Yeah.
Trusting that I am not even this anger that I have to move through in order to bring joy.
Yeah.
And that like this anger and this trauma is not enough.
Yes.
But the joy is more than enough.
Yeah.
It's more than enough. But we have to trust that.
And we don't trust ourselves.
We don't trust love, Rod.
We don't trust love. We don't trust compassion. We don't trust. We don't trust our ability to get actually free. We don't even trust the teachings enough that tell us perpetually that this world is not our home. That is not a religious tradition, a spiritual tradition that I've ever encountered that has told me or taught that this world is my home, that this is where I'm supposed to be. Every tradition I've studied and been part of, it's like, you're moving through something.
This blip on the screen, honey, it's this and we're here. It's like, boop. I mean, that's kind of big. That might be a whole bunch of people. But,
Yeah.
Of course.
And what gets in the way for me is being in a relationship with people who want me to be as stuck as they are.
Well, talk about it.
People who are just like, what do we say? Misery is company. Was it?
Yes.
It's like,
what birds of a feather flock together.
That's right. Like, why do you get to be free and I don't? Because I work.
I was gonna say, honey, work. Labor.
Right.
Labor you're talking about.
Yeah.
in the embodiment chapter.
Yeah.
Like that's how, that is really what you're helping really explain what I mean. Like, you have to do the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not for you singularly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And certainly not for you even in this body, because we can talk about being embodied but not being of this body.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
But you have to go in deep to go out.
Yeah. To go, yeah.
And, you know, like, and you can't. I mean, I think there's a certain clarity, but I think there's a certain willingness to be responsible, you know, really be responsible and really to let go, you know. I mean, you've talked to me about this, so like, you know, you got to be willing to let go of that shit.
Yeah.
Who you thought you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so you can be free.
Yeah.
And freedom, and once you make that decision, you got to keep making that decision again and again and again. And I think some of that, birds of a feather flocking together, or I don't want you to be free, or what about me, or, you know, all of that projection that comes up, I think is a fear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of being, whether it's found out, like maybe I'm not taking as much responsibility as I perform that I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it's really important to have people around you that are in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You know, there's so few people. I think it's Adrienne Rich, when she talks about honorable relationships, are willing to go the hard way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there has to be a willingness to go the hard way.
Yeah.
And there is such a joy. I mean, you know, it's hard. You know, I don't. You know, I'm not monitoring the chat really, and I'm not sure how people are feeling, and it feels so intense and hard.
Yeah.
But that is the experience of joy.
That's right. No, you gave away the secret.
That's the experience of it. No.
Joy requires responsibility. You know, like we have to take responsibility for it, right? You know, because we can easily get distracted into experiencing something that actually isn't joy, but it feels really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it may be just something you're just bypassing with, you know, you're just like scooting around the material, scooting around the stuff, right? But when I talk about joy, there's a responsibility to remember that my joy is supposed to hold everything. There is nothing outside of joy. If something is outside of joy, then I don't know if it is authentic joy. You know, joy doesn't have to happen in the absence of anything. It happens in collaboration with everything. You know,
and even that kind of that binary, that inside out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways becomes a real misunderstanding of what joy is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the arms of the mother. You know?
Yes.
It's like
right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you know, things get outside. It continues like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why we practice.
That's why we practice. I don't.
We practice so this doesn't feel so painful or foreign, because we're going to do this a lot.
Yeah. You know, and just to be really clear about something, I don't practice to feel good. I practice to get free. There's a different thing. These are two different things. And some of the people in this space now, like your practice is to feel more comfortable, to feel happy. And that's great. You know, but if you come to me wanting that, then you're wasting what I can offer you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you're talking about getting free, then let's go into the heartbreak. Let's go into some really depressing places.
That's right.
You know, I remember like one of our professors in graduate school, Jonathan Walton. I sat in on a class once with him, and he said this thing. He said, "Love takes you to some depressing places," you know, and I almost fell out. You're talking about a word, a teaching. You're talking about some wisdom. You know, it was like let go of this romanticizing of what love is. Like, if you want to love for real, you are going to go.
It's a kind of escapism.
Yeah.
You know, we use the things that will free us as an escapism. We even think, and it's very much of this country, right?
Yeah.
You know, founded on people who were refugees from their own lands, right? Mm-hmm. Or settled, I should say, on people who are refugees from their own land. Mm-hmm. And this idea that freedom is this kind of entitlement, that it is very much about selfishness and about what I want, and it's very singular.
Yeah.
And it's something that somehow I can manifest. Mm-hmm. Where in fact, none of that is true.
Yeah.
You know, like Toni Morrison says, we have to earn it. We got to work for it.
It's true.
You have to earn it.
And we come from
there, but we have to earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we come from lineages and ancestries of struggle. We come from Black indigenous lineages, you know, from Black prophetic traditions, right?
Yes. Yes.
You know, and that's what informs our relationship. That's what informs my Dharma practice. You know, like this is why I'm so interested in freedom. You know, because that was like the first word I think I was ever taught. It was like freedom. You know, you go to church, every song we sing is about freedom. You know,
that's right.
You know, it's like nothing. There's nothing that Black people do more in church than sit around and sing about freedom.
That's right.
In every breath. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, and that aspiration is an intergenerational aspiration is passed from generation to generation to generation. Right. You know, so that's the core of who I am. You know, and so when I come into my Dharma practice and my meditation, and when I come into relationship with the mother, with Tara, whomever it may be, then I am coming into a relationship where I am being invited to express my deepest wish to be free from suffering, to be free from, you know, from extremism, to be free from believing that this world is my only home. You know, believing that this is my only body, believing that I'm alone and isolated and disconnected, believing that like I have to abide by systems of oppression and violence. You know, believing that like I have to succumb to the waves of anti-Blackness that I experience. And I even feel in the space in this room with people gathering here. You know, and not through the comments, but I just feel it.
Oh no, it's palpable. No, it's palpable. You know, sometimes it's just palpable in the ways in which people are interacting or questioning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what you're saying and why. You know, and I'm not interested in that.
No,
I'm just not. I'm actually interested in you getting free from that.
Yeah.
But that's work that you're going to need to do.
Yeah. And my work is to allow my joy to consume the violence.
That's right.
You know, to dance through the ways in which people are consciously and unconsciously trying to annihilate me.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. It's true. You know, I don't, there is no practice that I do in any of the spiritual traditions in which I practice that have anything to do with anybody first, but have everything to do with me.
Like we become the center of our practice.
Absolutely.
You know, we talk about generating compassion, right? You know, I love teaching about compassion, writing about compassion. You know, on a good day, I love being compassionate. But like compassion is first and foremost about my discomfort.
That's right.
You know. And then when you start talking about your discomfort, you also are opening the door to have to start getting complex and to start leaning into the contradictions. Because if you really want to get free through the work of compassion, shit's not going to line up.
No, it's not.
You know, it's no longer black and white. The path towards liberation isn't dualistic and black and white. It is gray, it's ambiguous, it's confusing.
It's messy.
It's messy.
It's stank. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know?
Freedom doesn't care about what I want.
No.
Freedom doesn't care about what's comfortable for me. Freedom doesn't care about lining up things so like I'll be okay. Yeah. Freedom's like, I'm over here and you're right here. So what you gonna do?
Yeah, you got to get there. What's your path?
Like, I'm not coming closer to you.
No. I'll be in the light so you can find me. It'll be like a lighthouse, you know. But that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah. No.
You know, that's all you're gonna get.
You know, and then you try to kind of like push your liberation work onto other people. You know, it's like, oh, I need you to do something. You know, I need you to stop doing whatever you're doing because I'm trying to get free. Or I need you to like come and like, you know, be compassionate on my behalf.
Of course. Well, that's a kind of, I call it that crab in the bucket thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I need you to sit still so I can get on the back of your compassion and get more compassion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not interested.
No, and we can't be interested on taking on other people's work.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You know, like we have work already.
Oh, it's like this is
so much work.
And it's like if you want to account for something, account for the work that you need to do. Mm-hmm. If you want to wonder about something, wonder about the work you need to do.
Yeah,
that is different than being in space. Mm-hmm. Where you can reflect and share, and you are really open because you are responsible to say, I know I have work to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually not even, it's not conceptual. I'm doing my work. Mm-hmm. What do you think? How you doing? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Have you been here before? You know? Mm-hmm. And that's the work of people who are laboring with you as opposed to laboring on you. Mm-hmm. And nobody can labor for you. Mm-hmm. Despite the benefits people might get, mm-hmm. for saying that I'm going to do this for you, then nobody can do this for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you open up your beautiful sharing with the passage about emotional labor, you know, and you know that's something. You know that chapter came out of the ways in which people were weaponizing. This idea of emotional labor,
yes,
which was just another way of them saying, you know what, I need you to do all this emotional labor for me, you know, and I have to flip that around and say, you know what, like we have to hold space for ourselves. Like we can rely on others to help us hold space, but we're doing the primary labor to open up the space, to look at what's ever arising for us in the moment. You know, like that's a labor that we each have to do for ourselves. You know, without that, then you're like forcing emotional labor onto other people. You know,
and it's aggressive. It's aggressive at best. It's violent at you know. I mean, it's aggressive at least, violent at best. I mean, it works. You know, it's most concentrated form. And sometimes it's just it's subtle, you know, mm-hmm. as insisting somebody does something that they've already told you, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you have to protect your energy.
Well.
You know?
And, you know, people don't but when I was growing up, you know, somebody who raised me used to say, no is an answer too. And you know, that's how I felt when I heard it when I was young. No, it's an answer. Mm-hmm. And it's not the one that we want. And I think what This person was telling me what they were teaching me. That, first of all, if you are asking a question and you are not prepared for the answer, the honest answer, and knowing that the answer can also be no, you're not asking a question.
Yeah.
You're making a demand.
Yeah.
Okay. But they were also letting me know that it's not always about you.
Yeah.
And what you can get from somebody else.
Exactly.
That sometimes it's about really you being clear with you about what you need.
Yeah. And
not playing the grab game.
Yeah.
With people's energy or people's love or people's joy. It is really like Toni Morrison says, it is a diploma. This is not a gift. It is a diploma. It is something that both that person earned, but you earn too. And yes, love is there in abundance to the mother. Love is there, and you have to earn it.
Yeah, you have to earn it. You have to earn it. You have to. I say this all the time. You have to earn your dharma. Dharma isn't something you just kind of walk around dangling like a nice purse, or like whatever it may be, or a mala,
like a handkerchief. Ooh,
yeah, like a handkerchief. Look at my dharma, everyone. Look at my practice. And you just wear, you literally just wear it on the outside.
Yes. Yes.
It's just like this, and then you lose your dharma, and then what happened to it? Because you haven't done the work of deeply internalizing the work of sitting and just watching your mind over and over again, sitting and letting your heart break over and over again, sitting and taking refuge in something that can hold you over and over again, giving rise to wisdom, over and over and over again, making that choice every time you notice and come back to the moment. You're making a choice to deepen the practice, to metabolize the practice, and to sink it deeper and deeper, and the Dharma just begins to change us in that way, so it's not like it's no longer something you just walk around like, for me, when I talk about practicing Dharma and and doing these practices, there's a weight there for me, because I know the cost of the work that has taken me to sit here and to intentionally turn my mind to the joy holding everything, to walk through the world in this body, and to have cut through and overcome the ways in which I've been taught to hate because of the violence that's been shown to me. And that's something that I think people in this space right now can really benefit from. It's like you have to make a choice to turn to the joy to hold the deep, utter disappointment instead of falling back into the hate, into the fear. A beautiful poem was just talking about, God, and I was just thinking about liberation theology, where we say that God is on the side of the oppressed. And for me, when I think about God, of course I think about the mother, but for me, the mother is on our side when we choose to turn to the joy, to the love, to the compassion, not to the hates.
Yes.
Not to the fear, not to the shutting down.
Not to the rage. Not to any of that. That distracts us from our source. Distracts us from where we come from and what we'll go back to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a kind of homesickness sometimes, that distraction.
Yes.
That homesickness of one, being confused about where you are. Being aware that you're away from where you came from. You forgot. And then that fear of now that I'm turning back to my practice or turning back to where I'm from, can I go back? Can I come back home? Will the joy still be there, joyful for me? Will love still be loving me?
Yeah.
And it will. But that's where the trust is.
Yeah. That's
And that's and when you're talking about you have learned through your practice, and through your, through your mastery, through the choices and the sacrifices you made to turn that is just becomes the reflexive response, not believing him.
Yeah. Well, so I want to get to these questions. As you probably realize, we just kind of completely changed the schedule.
Yep.
and so it goes. Welcome to the Rod and Siddhartha show.
I love it.
On this episode,
we'll just keep about the labor of joy.
Yeah, the labor of joy. Girl, let's get into these questions.
Okay.
So first question.
So help me out.
Okay, I can't help you. Go to the.
Okay, I got the ask questions.
Okay, then click it.
Okay, I'm there.
And then the box is gonna pop up.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, then scroll down to the very bottom.
Okay, the last one. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just gonna start with this one.
Okay.
How can I express my African American grandfather's and ancestors' pain deep-seated in my own DNA in the face of white-skinned body that I inhabit, and the very real privilege, and I can say prejudice, that I have personally experienced daily, whether here in the UK or in my travels around the world? Okay. Yes. So we're just going to sit with this just for a moment. Oh, by the way, I just want to point out on behalf of Siddhartha and I, we're not interested in you liking us.
Yes. Oh, no.
Yeah, I just want to put that out in case you're confused by that.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Sister Siddhartha? What are you thinking?
So this question made me think about, I think the ways in which some of our work is around healing that pain of our ancestors, and some of that work is about asking them where they abide to rest, because some of the healing is in that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think that pain can attach onto us in ways as we walk into the world. It kind of it comes with us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you so much for your question. But I think also I can say that because I have relationship with my ancestors, my Black, African, and Black American ancestors through the indigenous practices that I practice, which include ancestor practice, my Native ancestors, and even my white Irish ancestors. I think that when we understand our relationship to ancestors as one to be an agent of healing, not just for them, but for us in the world, we then can make decisions about how that manifests.
Right.
In a way that's authentic from where we're at in our readiness to practice with that. Because I think the other thing that happens, and I've always been careful of this, some of it is just about my own hesitation, and some of it's about my knowledge of what I present and walk with in this world. That decision to what I engage with in terms of engaging in healing relationships with those ancestors has to be rooted in the honesty of where I'm at, so I'm not striving. Because that can create a lot of damage too. We get involved into things and practices that we are not ready to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
So I say take it easy.
Yeah.
Keep it basic.
Yeah.
Keep it basic. I remember
Mm-hmm.
an a priest in Lukumi had just given me this simple practice of water near your bed or water on an altar for ancestors. It's very simple to kind of clear it up. That was helpful for me.
I'm sorry. When we move into talking about and working with the pain of our ancestors, we all have different relationships to our ancestors. And so I'll just speak from my experience, there's a lot of trauma
Yes.
in my ancestry. And Sadhana knows that I have done a lot of work
Yes.
to hold, to cleanse, and to kind of metabolize the trauma from my ancestors, right? And you also have a right to set boundaries and to say, I can't do this work in this life. I don't have the resources to do this. And that's okay as well. We're all very different like that. But we can't do what many of you are experiencing is Sadhana and I coming from a place of ancestral indigeneity.
Yeah.
So it's we exist outside of necessarily the strict rigidity of Western Dharma.
Yes.
That we talk about ancestors, we talk about deities, we talk about energies and so forth, because it's a holistic worldview that takes into account that the world is more than just black and white.
Yes.
That we have to understand that the world is inhabited by multiple expressions of energy that are embodied and personified and show up for different ways for different people.
Are we back in the box?
You're back in the box.
Okay.
There's one question that I just received.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Stacy.
Yeah,
Stacy. Okay. Yeah. So appreciate all your words and they resonate. Yet, what tangible practices can you offer people experiencing anxiety, depression, and other forms of suffering due to the real and far-reaching economic and health impact of COVID-19, as well as seeing the consequences of centuries of unchecked and untamed anti-Black racism in the U.S. and beyond? And for me, one of the tangible practices, and we'll just go back and forth about it.
Yes.
One of my tangible practices is being held by the earth. Basically, I'm talking about what is my refuge right now, because my whole life is disrupted. The lives of people that I love are disrupted. My community is disrupted, and I need something to hold me.
Yes.
So my tangible practice is falling onto the earth, letting the earth hold so much of what I can't deal with right now. Letting the mother, letting my practices, Green Tara, Medicine Buddha, to hold this brokenheartedness.
Yes.
So that's where I would start. Sadhana, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll extend that. As an extension of the earth for me is calling on my ancestors who are available in ways that are going to be healing and supportive. So those are, for me, there are kind of what I call my regular peeps,
Mm-hmm.
And so I call them in, when you do this beautifully in the Matara practice,
Mm-hmm.
And I love the circle, for me, it was always kind of here, because I like to lay my head on their lap and get my hair, you know. I like, you know. But I call them in. And when I'm held in that space, I can get still and get clarity about what is the emotional work that I need to do. So a lot of times it's breathing, which is the extension practice.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Like, if it's part of your practice too, that helps you move through this kind of intergenerational kind of trauma.
In terms of grieving.
Grieving.
Yeah, the grieving. Yeah, you know, and I think for many of us, you know, not just Black folks, but I think many folks are terrified of the grief because they feel as if they'll lose themselves in it, like that the grief will consume them.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and this is why we go back to being held by a source of refuge. That source of refuge is going to actually help you hold the grieving. Because what is grieving? Grieving, you know, grieving is trying to make sense of something that's been lost.
Yes.
You know, it's trying to reestablish an identity that was based upon something else being in proximity to it. You know, and that thing is gone. So who are we now? And that's the grief. You know, and mourning is the ways in which we move into the grief to begin to metabolize it, to flow it, to channel it, to allow. When I say when I allow my heart to break, that is skillful mourning. I am allowing the heartbrokenness to be there. I am lying on the earth. I'm being held by Tara, you know, and I'm saying, Mother, please come and help me hold this.
That's it.
And I am imagining laying this at the feet of the Mother, or Oshun, or I mean, whatever is appropriate for you. You know, it's just like we have to find the myths, the paradigms, the magics that align with our worldview, and then lean into it.
That's right. That's
right. You know.
You know, I'm happy you called Oshun's name because you know that's a deity that I have a deep relationship with.
I know when you send her to me. I'm like, what is that?
And I remember, you know, talking about grieving and bringing it to the Mother. I spent a year of practice, and it wasn't, you know, I think, you know, sometimes I think when people hear practice, I know when I've heard practice, when I was not so practiced, and this is like in my 20s, right? I was just like, oh, practice is like something you do. Yeah. No, it's something you are compelled to. It's not that's something you do. It's something you are compelled to. Yeah. So when I say this practice, right? I was in deep grief, Rod. Deep grief. I think this was probably one of my early cycles of really falling in to the Mother. Mm-hmm. And I would go, you know, I had it was at least once a week, but sometimes 2 and 3 times a week. And I would go down to the Kanabakan, the Charles River. Mm-hmm. And I would have an offering, you know, I'd have, you know, sometimes an orange, sometimes honey, you know, I'd have my bell. And I would just offer my tears to the water. Yeah. And I would just ask her to take them. Take them and make them part of the river. Yeah. You know, let it flow. Yeah. You know? Let it wash me. Let it, you know, but let it clean my face. You know how I am about to scan the biggest organ we're in. Mm-hmm. You know, but also let me not have to be the only body holding it. Yeah. And I remember some winter nights. It was like, you know how it gets in the. If y'all haven't been to Boston in winter, like it's a thing. Okay?
Well, it's similar to the UK. It's a very London has very similar climate.
Oh, well, see that I'm gonna have to find out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, so you all know in the UK, the way like the ice gets thick and it's hard to be at the shore of the water because you just met with the ice. Yeah. And I would sometimes walk out like and try to find like just a little part that was moving, you know, because I was like, I want to learn by what you're doing to move through this grief. Yeah. And there is something about, for me, being held by the mother that means that, like, I'm also allowing her to teach me that there's more than what I know in terms of how to move through this pain, this trauma, this sadness.
This is, and I also, we're still working with this question, but I want to call into the space community. You need to get like your physical people together. Like you need your crew of folks.
Yeah, Sister Luana's on the call. Hey, Luana.
Hey, girl.
And she does this amazing work as a death midwife. She's also a birth doula.
Yeah.
But as a death midwife, she talks about the griefs, the circles of people that you allow in.
Yes.
And the closest one is the kvetching circle.
Yes.
But I think the whole thing might be called the kvetching circle, but there's one in the middle that's where, like, when you are transitioning out of your skin, right? But when you're talking about your peeps, your community, that to me, like, those are the people that when it's not like I don't need to call you when I need you, because we are like a net. We're a net, and when you're kind of like this, I'm kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're there, It's like I guess it's like a lotus flower.
Yeah. Sadat is one of my people.
You are one of my people, Rob. We had this conversation. My 5 fingers and wherever I'm at. It's going down.
When shit happens, Sadat is on the phone. Listen, like, you get your guys together. I need you to send them over here. Those are the people you need. You need your folks. Like, you need people you can just call up and say, "Ooh, girl." Like, this is, and it's all you need to say. Some of us and I had to go through this myself. Like, I had to move out of friend groups and family situations that were not holding me. And I was attempting to take refuge in certain people and certain groups, and they didn't hold me. And so I had to intentionally learn how to move into relationships that were there holding me. And also, I did the work of holding others back. So it's a mutual thing, and that's what a really healthy kind of collective, whatever you want to call,
Mature.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the 6th birthday of Southsea, right?
Yes.
And that's like 42 in dog years, right? I did that math before I got on. Okay. But what that means is, like, there's an opportunity to mature.
Yeah.
And to have that discernment. And I feel like part of mature relationship is also knowing to hold something, and you have so held me, like you really have, or you're not just your practice, not just your teaching, but your love, your relationship, your joy, and your joy for liberation, and the clarity about that has helped me. And it continues to help me in body and otherwise.
And it's mutual. Like, I just feel like you're always there. Like, even when
like when spirits start, like when this start happening, I'm like, it doesn't, oh, this is happening, everybody. I think we had this before, Bumi Shmacha, right? There's other folks who want to be on the conversation. That's what it is.
There's been plenty of mornings where I've woken up 1 foot in the spirit realm, 1 foot in this realm, and I'm like, let me call Sadada.
And there'll be a video or an audio.
Okay, girl, you're like one of the only people who understand that.
And I'm like, yes.
And say how much I love Daniel.
Hang on, stop a minute before you show the love. Can you refresh your browser, Rod? We're getting some feedback through your mic. I think it's the spirits coming through wanting to be involved again. Just refresh your browser, okay? And then I'm gonna go again because I can't be on screen while he talks about me. We've got about I'd say about 10 minutes left or so. If you wanted to ask some more questions, but yeah, I'm gonna vanish now. That was just a little intervention.
Okay. I hope that's better. So I'm gonna talk about Daniel now.
Yes, let's talk about Daniel.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, go.
So I don't know. It was 5 years ago. This like white dude from England, who I used to just call British all the time, but apparently he's Welsh. Apparently there's a difference, which I've heard plenty about over the years, believe me. So, who reached out and was like, don't you want to come to the UK and teach? I was like, I don't know who you are. I'm not that kind of lady. I just don't like responding emails like that. Probably like, yeah, I'll come to another country, and then it just began this back and forth about like who Daniel was, what he was doing, and how much he appreciated what I was doing. And I was like, what? I was like, why would anyone ask me to go to another country? I get it now, like, as I'm internationally appreciated. Well, probably less internationally now, so I think you probably piss people off with this. But like, which I'm blaming on you, Siddhartha, right? I put it together until you showed up. But he was just like, I want to help you come, and and teach here, and it's just like talk about faith. So I just took a step, and it is completely like been one of the most important changing factors in my life. I met so many people because of the work that Daniel has done to make sure that I did that traveling. But beyond that, he's just like the support for my Dharma. He is like one of the guiding bedrocks of how I'm able to do the work that I'm doing right now in the world. Like when you send me an email, it's going to him. Like he's the one who's like doing this work to make sure I'm taken care of, to make sure, I'm getting money, and to make sure like website is going and this and that and everything. And I'm just so deeply appreciative for that, for that support, that loyalty, that allyship. And there's so many people in this space that wouldn't have, I obviously don't know who's all here, but definitely I know Stacy is here in this space as well. And I'm so appreciative for how I was able to develop a relationship to Stacy, my homegirl in London, and, who's taught. She's taught, for you all as well. So you know her if you've been around. But like, it's just so many people. Astrid, I know you're here. I wouldn't have met you without coming to London and the UK. So many people, I can't even like remember everyone. Everyone at Southsea Sangha, which is like literally, I feel so taken care of and held when I come and spend time with you all, with your Sangha. So this is just such, I don't know. It's just like, I don't deserve anything. I deserve a few things, but mostly, like, I don't deserve anything because I just feel like, I don't know, like, I don't get why people like me and want to do these things for me. Only thing I do is I just want people to be free. Like, I don't really care about people being happy. I just want people to be free from suffering. And that's only, and I don't know, I'm not, I don't believe I do it the best. I don't believe that like I'm the most skillful all the time. I just know that like I give a shit about people, and I am so grateful to be held by Daniel as I'm going through this process as well, So he's a really, really good person, a really good guy. Like one of the best, caring, considerate, kind, and not perfect, of course, like no one's perfect, but I don't, like I trust you with everything, Granted, I trust really easily as well, but like, but still, like I still trust you You know, as you know, Asia Marie Brown says that like people become trustworthy when you trust them. You know, and that's just become one of my really important practices. I just trust people. You know, I've never been let down by Daniel. So I love you so much. You know, you can cry if you want. You can cry. No, you're very emotional. That's what I like about you. It's like you're very emotional. Your texts are full of tears every time you text me.
Which
I can feel like I know you're gonna text me because I started getting really emotional. I'm like getting so emotional all of a sudden. Oh, Daniel.
This took, and I don't know what to say. I was not expecting this, but I'm grateful to be trusted, and you trusted, like, you know, a well-meaning white Welsh kid from the valleys, and here we are. So that bears fruit, and I'm grateful for you bringing me in connection with Siddhartha too, and in your other friends as well. So Erica and everyone who I've met. So thank you for that. I'm still in the process, as people probably know. I'm still in the process of, like some people have already commented, of the practice of receiving. So thank you for, you know, encouraging me to keep that going in front of how many people are here. I wanted to come on screen.
I get to say something about Daniel?
Oh yeah, go on then. Sorry. Go on.
I mean, it's part of your practice of receiving, Daniel. So I am new to knowing Daniel, and I do know Daniel through Rod, and I trust Rod. I trust Rod's love. I trust Rod's love for those who love liberation. And Daniel and I became communicating on the internet about the beginning of the year through Instagram. And what I've witnessed of Daniel from afar is the ways in which there's a very subtle, strong, sweet way of creating space, you know, but also I think swaddling people in his support. And you know, despite the uncomfort that you might feel of kind of receiving the love, you know, my hope is that you can trust that. I don't know what it's going.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
Although there's more to say. We have 400 people in the room, so I'm tell you how much I'm not going to say the other things.
What people at home don't know is this will continue via text messages later, and until I go to bed. So I'm not free. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of what you've said, and I want to take the opportunity as well to say, you know, this is, and I've said this right from the beginning of Sangha. I was offered a set of keys and some space for 3 months rent free to just see what happens, and I took the keys. I had no idea what was going to happen, and some people know the story, but you know, it started off with maybe 3 or 4 people once a month coming in and sitting in front of me, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then that became, you know, slowly after a while, once a month became 20 people, and then we went weekly, and it reduced back down to 4 again. But then it built up, and I would not have been able to do that without that trust. You know, Rod was talking about when someone said, I trust that there was nothing in Portsmouth. You know, teachers were coming to London and then going home again, or, you know, going between Devon and Port and London, you know, teaching. And it's like, we're in the middle there. We can bring this in. And there's people, I felt almost kind of, it was a sense of guilt actually, because I traveled and followed, you know, Sanghas and teachers, and I was like I was appreciating and benefiting so much from the teachings that I wanted people of Portsmouth to meet these people and to meet the teachings and kind of bring them here, which was the intention behind it. And as we've grown, I've made a point of this, as saying, this community is not me. It is nearly 30 people, I think, who have all contributed to building community in a very conservative Navy city, right? And it's a challenge. We wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for the volunteers who've come and gone, and the current volunteers, and the Kalyana Mitta, the folds of Sangha within Sangha, that we take care of each other. And I am grateful for that, because I didn't have a Sangha for 10 years, and for the last 6 I have now. So thank you to all the people who may be here watching and may watch this later on. And I know the people who gave me the keys are here tonight, so thank you. And the people that, that just made this possible. We are maturing, and like Siddhartha said, like we're 42 in dog years, and we've got, I hope we live longer than a dog. But we are constantly trying to improve our systems and our processes and our way of working, and how we build community, and realizing what community means, how we can kind of build a more radical and inclusive community. And it's a lot of work. And but the payoff is awesome, and this is part of the payoff right here. So thank you both. And I think Claude might still be online. I've tried clicking her button, but I can't get Claude's thing back. So I'm going to just say thank you, Claude, for your music earlier. It was beautiful. It really set us up for like an amazing evening, and for the poetry recitals, and it was just like perfect. I got to tell everyone, I got like an exclusive voice note. Is that what you call it? Siddhartha sent me like a recording saying, I think I'm going to read this. And it was like 8 minutes long, and I was just like, this is going to be perfect. So it's actually come together better than any celebration we've had in person. There's just a lot less stuff to go wrong, and we can invite in just some beautiful hearts. So thank you. I want to kind of just end by kind of maybe dedicating the merit a little bit by saying, may you fill your space with what you love. May you fill your hearts with what you love, and may you fill the earth with how you love too. And may this continue and benefit people in all directions. We are fundraising tonight, and we are fundraising for the Intensive Care Society. You can Google them. I've put some stuff in the chat. So thank you in advance for your dana. Please connect in with the spirit of dana. It's a practice, and it'll benefit you too. Thank you to Rod, my love. I love this man so much, and it's I'm a lucky bitch that you emailed me back 3 or 4 years ago and said whatever. Organising our cup, hoping I'd fuck off, when in fact I then came back with a whole tour, and he was like, shit, I've got to go now. So and I had a ingrained image of you standing next to Mr. Chippy down here in the rain, forcing a smile on your face. And I hope we can do that again sometime. Maybe you can climb on Mr. Chippy this time, and we can have some more fun together. I love you. I miss you, and I really want you here in person soon. Thank you to everyone who's logged in tonight. Made tonight a special evening. This has been awesome. The last thing I have to say is, if we're leaving this platform today and we're going here, which I've just put in to the chat. We're still on Crowdcast, but we're moving from URL, so that this URL will no longer work. And next week we have Siddhartha teaching for us on that link that I've just put into that chat. So before you log off, click that link and register for next week. And
I better
you can-
click it.
So click that link and spread it, and come and join us. And what we really love at Southsea Sangha, what this really has enabled us to do, is to give a voice and platform to teachers and practitioners that don't usually get the opportunity to teach to such a wide audience. And I'm really, really blessed that we get to do that. Discounting Lama Rod, obviously, ignore him in that sentence, but everyone else, we get to just bring in just amazing voices and people that can get to meet people over here and hear their wisdom. So thank you. I don't have anything else to say. We've run over. This will be on YouTube, and stay safe and be well. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I know this is probably what you weren't expecting.
But it's what you needed.
That's right. This is what you got served. As my mama say, if you don't want things served, you ain't hungry. So there we go.
We're going to play out Samina Simone and people. We'll see you soon. And see you next week.